Welcome to Calm Desk. There are some things you do that you think are just your personality. Small habits, behaviors no one taught you, but you somehow picked up along the way. You call it being polite, being strong, being independent, being the responsible one. But sometimes they aren't personality traits, they're survival strategies, patterns your younger self created just to feel safe. Today, I want to talk about those five behaviors you might think are completely normal, but are actually trauma responses. Not to diagnose you, not to label you, but to give you a language for things you've been carrying alone. And listen, if even one of those sound familiar, don't panic. It simply means you learn to survive in the only way you knew how. And now you're allowed to choose differently. Let's begin. People pleasing. People pleasing doesn't look dramatic from the outside. It looks gentle, cooperative, thoughtful. But inside you, it's constant calculation. You're always scanning the room, trying to sense what someone else wants before they even say it. You agree when you don't want to. You volunteer when you're exhausted. You apologize for things that weren't your fault just to keep the peace. And it's not because you're weak, it's because your younger self learned that staying small kept you safe, that being easy made you lovable. Your nervous system came to believe if they're happy, I'm safe. And so you became the caretaker, the fixer, the one who smooths the edges. But here's the truth: people pleasing isn't kindness, it's self erasure. And you're allowed to let people meet you halfway. You're allowed to disappoint someone and still be loved. You're allowed to take up space. Hyperindependence. Hyperindependence often gets praised. You're so strong. You never need anyone. You handle everything on your own. But they don't see the whole picture. They don't see the child who had to grow up too fast, the one who learned that relying on others led to disappointment or danger. So you became the one person army. You carry your own burdens. You solve your own problems. You never ask for help. Not because you don't need it, but because needing feels unsafe. Somewhere inside, there's a belief: if I don't depend on anyone, no one can hurt me. But hyper independence is just loneliness wrapped in armor. And I want you to remember something gently. Strength does not mean carrying everything alone. Healing sometimes looks like letting one person help you, even a little. Downplaying your own feelings. You're the type who says, it's fine, it's not a big deal, other people have it worse. You say it so often that you've convinced yourself it's true. But do you know what downplaying your feelings really is? It's self protection. It's pushing your emotions so far down that no one can reject them and no one can reject you. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed the message that your feelings were inconvenient, too much, too loud, too dramatic. So you learned to shrink them to make everyone else comfortable. But here's the quiet truth: your feelings aren't a burden, they're signals, they're information, they're proof that something inside you deserves attention, not dismissal. You don't have to minimize your pain to be strong. You don't have to silence your emotions to be loved. Being overly apologetic. Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. It slips out before you even think about it. You apologize for standing in someone's way, for asking a question, for existing a little too loudly. Over apologizing is often a trauma response rooted in fear, fear of upsetting someone, fear that conflict equals danger. When apologizing becomes your default language, what you're really saying is, please don't be angry. Oh my God, please don't leave. Please don't hurt me. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. But imagine this: what if instead of saying sorry, you said, thank you? Not sorry I'm late, but thank you for your patience. That tiny shift reminds you that you're not a burden, you're human, and humans take up space, needing constant reassurance. This one is so misunderstood. People think reassurance seeking means insecurity, clinginess, neediness, but most of the time, it means you grew up with inconsistent love. Love that was given, then taken away. Promises made, then broken. Your nervous system never learned stability. So now, as an adult, your mind whispers, are you mad at me? Do you still care? Is everything okay? Reassurance isn't about attention, it's about safety. It's about calming the storm your past created. And you deserve relationships where reassurance isn't something you beg for, it's something naturally given, steady, warm, safe. You deserve to feel secure without having to question your worth every day. If you saw yourself in any of these behaviors, that doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you adapted, you survived, you became who you needed to be to protect yourself. But survival habits aren't meant to last forever. There comes a time, maybe this moment right now, when you realize you're allowed to unlearn the things that once kept you safe. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to express your feelings. You're allowed to need reassurance. You're allowed to stop apologizing for existing. You're allowed to choose softness without fear. Healing isn't about becoming a different person. It's about returning to the person you were before the world taught you to shrink. And if no one has told you this lately, you're doing really, really well. You're growing in ways you can't see yet. Take a breath. Take a moment. Take your time. You deserve gentleness, especially from yourself.